Hi everyone, this is Dragon GJY. As of the September 8th patch with an Obscure Wanderer, close to half of the Arknights characters now have at least one modules to themselves. As such, I think it's a good time to do a module reveal to give you guys a general idea. This is the reveal system that I'll be using in this video. Module rating here means, without looking at the character itself, how the quality of the module is. That includes its base effect, stats-wise and function-wise improvements. Improvement to character here is a comparison between the character with and without the module to evaluate the impact on him or her. For example, even if a module does not have very fancy stat change on paper, if it can address the key problem with the character, then this module, even with lower rating, can have a high improvement to character or IC rating. Then I'll give some of my comments as to why I gave those ratings and put out a recommended level for you to refer to. This is important because level 1 is a rather cheap investment and only unlocks the base effect, while level 2 and above are much more expensive. There are many operators where they have good base effects, but the upgrades are just not worth it at all. And finally, I would combine both MR and IC ratings with consideration of other external factors like game modes, team building, playstyles, etc. to keep an overall priority rating of you unlocking the above recommended level. In the first part, we will be reviewing 6 stars modules, and this time featuring guards, snipers, medics, and specialists. I'll put the base effect and module level 3 on screen. If you are unaware of the actual improvements, you can refer to wiki, or if I have done respective showcases, I will put a link on screen. Starting off with Pallas X, this is the one with extra unblock damage and the more damage oriented one, with it lowering the requirement for the Vigor to take effect as well as increasing the attack buff. Personally, I don't think the upgrade is worth it, mainly because the lack of Minoan operators, and realistically, herself in 99% of the time is the only person to enjoy the talent. That said, Pallas with skill 1 is a popular DPS choice in IS2, especially if you aim to play the big sad log boss. Skill 1 works with the Spanish series of relics and Hands of Shatter very well, and can also enjoy the attack recovery relics. That's why I think level 1 for the base effect is worth it, so B+ for priority and higher if you like IS. Pallas' other module, the Y module, puts emphasis on her as a support, so being able to deploy on high ground opens up new positioning for her skill 3. But this still doesn't change the fact that skill 3 is a skill with lots of limitations and limited effect, so people will choose Sculptor skill 2 over this anytime. And again, the additional effect from upgrade still suffers from the lack of Minoans, and it doesn't even work on Vulcan. Therefore, I recommend not unlocking this module. If you want a guard on high ground as a relay in the coming stationary security service game mode, I would recommend use Doberman instead, since it's a more economical choice. Next, we have Chen X. Oh, now this is a module that changes a character. I'm not giving S on IC because realistically her alter is a also very strong operator that can limit her, but other than that, this module is extremely strong. It drastically improves herself and all the attack or defense recovery skill users, and her deadly skills are now basically on a slower self-recovery that accelerates once she picks up enemies. So if you have the resources, I would definitely recommend doing level 3 to try it out. Next we have Irene Y. This module gives rather small improvement, especially if you compare it to Chen and Bi-Peak, and also because of the enemy specific limitation. However, Irene is a pretty good operator with that unique levitate control and AoE damage, so I think it's just fine. Also, she may be a popular choice in the upcoming IS3, which likely has a lot of sea monsters. So for now, I would recommend level 1. The base effect is crucial for Sword Masters. Next, we have Nearl Alter X. The base effect attack buff would be given to her the moment she lands and blocks an enemy, so it will also increase the damage of a landing, so that's good. For the talent improvement, it is solid, but it may be less relevant to normal players. I think people who focus on high CC risks, one-tile relays or no damage runs, they should definitely get this module upgrade done. So I would recommend level 1 since many could bring her skill 2 in a 12-man team as a safety measure, so that's good. Next we have Skadi Y. The one-time revival effect is less impactful than it seems on paper, as most of the time, enemies just either can't kill off her first life, or she will be quickly defeated in the second life anyways. For the talent upgrade, it actually gives generous faction HP buff that literally came from nowhere, but this module just doesn't work too well outside of AH team. But I do recommend level 1 as a secret weapon. I think module Y is fine, it's just overshadowed by her other module. Talking about her second module, and here we are, Skadi X. The redeployment time minus 30 seconds really changes her, so now she's a fast redeploy with insane damage and makes her competitive again with Nearl Alter on hella dropping. It will work very fine outside of AH team and work as the biggest damage dealer in AH team. So this module actually also worked very well with both skill 2 and skill 3. I think this module is perfect overall. The IC rating because of that little alter limitation, but still very solid choice. Coming next is Fartooth X. I think it's not a very strong module, but it does match well with Fartooth. And the upgrade further amplifies her skill 3 damage, which is the only skill she could realistically use. Overall, if she has to excel at the job of striking a long-range enemy in a straight line, I think she almost has to have this module, at least at level 1. But after talking about Fartooth's first module, we have to talk about her Y module. And this is the worst module they have ever designed. The core problem here is her bad skill 2 design. This module encourages the use of skill 2, yes, but that skill is just too flawed to even be considered. The base effect does not work with skill 3 at all, and they straight up move the 7 attack speed from module X's attribute to the Y talent effect. That plus 7 is just useless to Fartooth skill 3, as she cannot squeeze out an additional attack without at least 9 attack speed. But they decided they want to give her 7 on both modules, so I recommend you don't touch this module at all. Next we have WC's X module. To be honest, the base effect does not match with her skills at all, mostly she was attacking on unblocked targets. The upgrade effect improves her skill cycling a bit, but is very dependent on the map, how enemies are coming. And in the end, that improvement is still little and not easily triggered, so overall not recommended. Next we have Fiammetta Y. The base effect is good, the problem with the module is that the way it boosts the talent make it so that her skill 2 only enjoys the first half of the talent, while skill 3, once it's active, only enjoys the latter half of the talent. While it's better than nothing, it also makes the upgrade less worth it, so I would say level 1 for this one. Next we have Schwarz Y. The base effect, although seems a little counterintuitive, it actually suits her pretty well, but it also changes her playstyle a little bit. She becomes a sniper buff just by being in the team on level 2, which is good. Obviously, this module design encourages her being a flexible sniper class support while being able to do some precise damage here and there. However, it does lack some actual improvement to her own damage, but if you have a lot of sniper's belt, I will definitely recommend level 2. Next we have Pozyomka X. Pozyomka is a new era sniper DPS that I would recommend you guys not miss out on. Her base module has a good effect that Schwarz can also come to expect in the future, and it provides new solution to the increasing amount of dodge enemies in the game. However, the physical dodge ignore would not be applied to her typewriter. As for the additional attack from the upgrade to her typewriter, it depends on whether you want to maximize that damage, but I think it makes little difference for the majority of players, so level 1. Next is Exusiai X. For the base effect, it really doesn't make much impact, because funny enough, for all the aerial enemies in the game right now, there isn't any that is too strong for marksmen, and if there is, then it probably isn't a job for marksmen anyway. So maybe you can combo this with Irene's Levitate, but it's just another niche. For the upgrade, the additional buff target is okay, but like the joke said, many of the time it would just go onto an operator that you may retreat later, maybe Myrtle, maybe Elysium. So also this talent is not her core talent, so at most I would recommend level 2 for that additional buff. Next, Archetto Y. The base effect is slightly better than X, but still doesn't make much impact. With level 3, however, Archetto can use her skill 3 on deploy if the shield immediately breaks. But it's mostly the same as Exia, that this is not the core talent for her. You may as well just wait for the buff to Lantern tactics, especially after seeing how they work on Chan's talent, which is quite similar. Lantern is also a solid strat for IS Sniper class, so I recommend waiting and not unlocking this one. And then we have Ashe Y, one of the least improved upgrades. First of all, people were wondering if the base effect attack speed can make Ashe shoot faster in skill 2 during the stun duration, and the answer is no. With or without that plus 8, she would be still shooting at 4 frames per shot, therefore not enough. Also, the upgrade effect only works on her first deployment. It's just not worth it in any way. Next, Nightningale X. In my opinion, the strength of this module 90% lies in the base effect. It gives 5 points of arts resistance, which is really huge, and 1 extra tile for multi-target medic gives her more flexibility and means that her talent can cover 1 extra tile, which is very good. But other than that, level 2 and level 3 just gives very little improvement. But given how she is already at the absolute solution to arts damage, I think that's fair, so I would recommend a level 1 here. And then we have Lumen X. This one is an underwhelming one. In situations where he can have safe positioning, he doesn't even need a resistance on himself. The base resistance offered by this kit is more than often enough, not to mention that the upgrade improvements are actually very minor. The key thing, however, is that his best strength is actually the ability to cleanse the status instead of just resistance, which the module wouldn't help, so I say this one is of low priority. Coming into the specialists, we have Phantom X. The base effect can make up for low potential, pretty basic but okay. The upgrade, however, is not a huge improvement. Cutting down 6 more seconds from the clone still wouldn't make it be in good sync with Phantom himself. Overall, no big improvement. He's in good shape after all, so I recommend level 1. Next, Lee X. First of all, the merchant base effect is really crucial as it makes them change from stopping the natural DP generation completely to making that DP grow slowly, so that's good. The upgrade, however, is mostly optional because the key of this talent is his immunity from stuns and freeze. When he is the solution in these situations, you'll likely have flag bearers to support the DP cost anyway, and the stun reflection time just doesn't matter too much. Situations like the nervous impairment stun would not be inflicted back to any enemies since it is deemed an unspecified damage source. So the stun time would be completely irrelevant in these situations. So overall, level 1 crucial, but the upgrade not worth it. And then we have Specter Alter X. Oh boy, this module feels like half of Specter's power. It brings huge improvement to her doll's damage and control, and compensates switching by refunding 15 SP upon return, which makes her skill cycling just so much smoother, and it works extremely well with her skill too. I would say this module is a must pick for using her outside of AHT. I think she can also be the best starting choice for a ground specialist in IS with this module. I mean, this module is everything she needs from good to great, so I would definitely recommend level 3. For her other module, it's in turn a crucial AH buff. With the SP regen speed, it improves the cycling of certain key AH member skills, and for herself, it works with her skill 3 really well, not only for the cycling but also for the additional HP buff. This module, however, puts less emphasis on her doll, so 90% of the time you will pair it with skill 3. This one is less prioritized than X, and I recommend doing it after you unlock the level 3 module with Gladiia X and Skadi X, and you want to get it to level 3 because the base effect is just irrelevant. And swiftly after, yes, we have Gladiia X, and this module is another insanity. The base effect can sometimes double Gladia's own damage, which is great, But the unconditional damage reduction and greater HP regen for all AH operators is just crazy. This is the core to the AH greatness and a must-have if you plan to build your own AH team. So if you ever think about it, instant level 3 for sure. And then here's a bonus of my opinion on the priority or order you would do all the AH modules. First of all, I recommend starting with Skadi and or Specter Alter X, as they work well outside of AH team. Then I will work on Gladiia X for the damage reduction and HP regen. At this time, the 3 of them can already do wonders on many levels, and we can prepare Specter Y for situations where you need her to tank or do big damage, or work on Adriana for extra firepower and the attack speed buff. I will leave Skadi Y until the end because I think the faction buff aspect from her Y module will be least impactful until another DPS AH member would arrive. Okay, after all the exciting AH modules, let's take a look at Mizuki in the end. On paper, this module actually gives a fair improvement at level 2, where they give 1 extra target for the arts damage. But the base effect of 20% movement speed reduction is just minor, and improvement from level 2 to level 3 is just pathetic. While the module itself is okay, it just can't solve the fundamental problem with Mizuki, and that is his skill 3 is borderline unusable. Skill 1 and especially skill 2 can work better with the additional target, but it still feels like a compromise. Not to mention that there's a bug right now where with module level 2 or higher, Mizuki will have to hit 4 targets instead of 3 now to prevent himself from losing HP in skill 3, which is a little ridiculous. So overall, if you use Mizuki's skill 1 for convenience, I think you could try level 2 if you are satisfied with this skill. Otherwise, I wouldn't suggest investing at all, especially not level 3. And that's all for the operator in this part. I hope the content is useful and informative to you, and I'll see you in the next part. Bye bye.